Systems, systems, systems. Is your lunchroom so crazy that it would frighten me? Do your hallways resemble a penitentiary? Are your bathrooms so scary that the kids are afraid to pee? Then you better put some systems in place, and you better do it right now. Make your school and your room an inviting place. Let the fast llama show you how. Systems, 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 systems.
Hello, I'm Doug Curry, the Llama Guy. Your school will be whatever the adults of the school want it to be.
Systems, 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 systems.
I have some questions for you, particularly you middle school and high school folks. Can the kids wear earbuds in your school? Can we listen to music? Or do you have a rule against it? But does everybody enforce it? Is it the same in every classroom? Hey, can we eat hot Cheetos? Do you have a rule against it? Does everybody enforce the rule? Or do some teachers let them eat it while others don't? It can be a problem. Oh, excuse me. What about cell phones? Don't give me that nonsense that you have a district policy. We all have district policies. Are you consistent through the building? Do some teachers let them be on their cell phones while everyone else is enforcing district policy? I could go on and on. Can we wear hats in the building? Hoodies? Let me ask you this. When is a student considered tardy? Am I tardy when I just get my foot in the front door? Or does my tail end need to be in the seat? What are your rules about public displays of affection? How are we supposed to walk in the hallways in your school? I don't really care if your kids can wear hats, earbuds, or not, but I do care what your school has decided about this and all these other things. These kinds of things can destroy your school if they're left unattended. Let me tell you something, principal person. I'm getting sick and tired of being the only one on this campus that enforces these rules that you said. I'm the only one who stands out in the hall and asks kids to take their hats off. When I do it, the next teacher, they just ignore it. I'm getting tired of being the bad guy. I'm getting tired of being the one who doesn't let them eat the hot Cheetos and stuff like this. Why do we have these rules if we're not going to enforce them in the first place? Sorry, I kind of lost control of myself, but I'll tell you this. This is how teachers begin to feel about this. We start feeling like we're powerless over our environment. Now, before we go any farther, let me be clear about something. School is all about relationships. School is about learning to be successful. School is about the joy of learning. School is about having an engaging lesson in every classroom. School should be a place where we all want to come. School is fun. However, kids need structure, and it doesn't matter whether they're in kindergarten or high school. They need a structured environment. They need for the adults in the school to step up and be adults. It's not the job for the kids to create and maintain this structure. It's what the adults are supposed to do. Now, don't expect that some kid in middle school is going to come up and thank you for creating structure in that school. However, I will guarantee you this. Some of them will thank you privately, and later on they will come back and they will say, thank you for expecting something of me. Your school will be whatever the adults of the school want it to be. Do you want it to be chaotic and crazy? Then it will. But realize there will be a whole lot of kids who fail because you did not provide them with the structure that they needed to be successful. Do you want your school to be calm, peaceful, and fun? Then it will. But it won't happen by accident. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to take work. So let's get started. Why do some sports teams just always win? Even if they don't win the championship, they still get close. If you look closely enough, these teams just do things differently. They have a certain way that things are done, and everyone buys into that way. So let's start thinking of your school in this manner. The Houston way, the Evergreen way, the Jacksonville way. Do you have any idea how powerful our school can be in the lives of our kids once we get everyone on board on the same page as to what our expectations are for our school? But this is going to take planning, commitment, and consistency. Now, again, nothing will take the place of meaningful and positive relationships with your kids. Nothing's going to take the place of every teacher providing an outstanding lesson every day in that classroom. But nothing will take the place of a staff that is unified and committed to providing the best environment for your students. Are you ready? Because your kids deserve your school to be the best it can be. You ready? Let's go.
Then you better put some systems in place, and you better do it right now. Make your school and your room an inviting place. Let the fast llama show you how. Systems. Okay, step one is find the time. No, make the time. That's right, you have to make the time. Now, we could do this the easy way. Your principal could simply decide what the expectations are for the kids in all areas of your school. It's simple enough, but it doesn't work. You see, we don't have buy-in. We don't own it. And what are we going to do if we get a new principal? Have you seen those schools that just fall apart when they get a new principal? On the other hand, have you seen the schools that are run by the teachers? You can put a new principal in and things just keep clicking. The teachers and staff members have to own it. And the only way that that is going to happen is to have what I call a Fast Llama Day. Before school starts, we need a half day or a full day or 2 full days in which all staff members are present with no distractions. The best time for this is during the summertime. If there is any way that we can get everyone to come to school for a full day in the summer, that would be great. Of course we can't. We will have folks on vacations, folks working other jobs, etc. But this would be ideal because we wouldn't have the pressure of anything else on our minds. So the next best, during staff development before school starts. But beware, if our band director is not present because he or she is out doing torture marches in the heat, or if the volleyball coaches are gone due to practice and so on, this is not going to work. No, you've got to have everybody. We need everyone's input, we need everyone's buy-in, and we need everyone's commitment. Or this is just going to turn into business as usual. When you download the resource packet that accompanies this video, there is a sample letter to send to your staff regarding this day, and it explains the purpose for this day. People need to know that decisions are going to be made on this day, and we want everyone's input. But Doug, we're implementing a new English curriculum. We have to go over it. That's more important. Hey, let me tell you something. Nothing is more important than your classroom management and creating a good environment. Your English curriculum will mean nothing if we don't have the proper environment in which to learn. Step 2, who leads this? You need someone to lead this effort. This would hopefully be your principal. The leader must be committed to seeing that everyone has a voice, all opinions are welcome, but that we are not leaving the room until we have solutions and have come to consensus. Hey, if you can get me to do it, do it. This is what I do for schools all the time. And I can be the bad guy so that your principal can remain beloved. Believe me, we are going to come to consensus. This is why this day is so important. We don't always have time to go over these issues and come up with creative solutions. This is the day we do this. We can't do this work once school has started. September is too late. And when things get tough and we don't have systems in place, we will resort back to our old, ineffective way of doing things. This is why it's so hard to be a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. Step 3, set the purpose for the day. The leader will set the purpose for the day. It is essential that everyone understands the purpose of this work. We are not seeking to create an environment that is rigid, unyielding, and cold. Instead, we are seeking proactive solutions ahead of time for issues in which we need consistency. It is the responsibility of every adult on our campus to both recognize when our students are being successful, and it's the responsibility of every adult on our campus to appropriately correct students when they are not meeting our expectations. In other words, we are not going to ignore students who are blatantly going against our school's way. At the same time, we're not looking for a fight. We are going to do this in a way that is kind and relational. In an elementary school, we realize that it is the responsibility of our pre-K teachers to both praise and correct our 5th graders, and vice versa. Step 4, ground rules. The leader sets the ground rules for the day. Here are suggested ground rules. We're 100% present. Our cell phones are on vibrate and we can check our messages during breaks. We must be willing to speak our own truth without blame, directed toward any individual. If we disagree with something, say it. Respectful disagreement is okay, but complete consensus at the end of the process is our goal. Confidentiality. If we're going to express something, do it here and not out on the parking lot later. That's what kills our culture. We can express concerns, but we have to make sure that we're offering solutions. And at all times, we are aware of why we are here, of our mission and our purpose. Step 5 is, let's get started. Now it's time to start working. Hey, don't be surprised when you discover that this takes time and energy. So what issues do you want to resolve? You can have your folks tell you, because believe me, they know. It's all those things that drive us crazy by the end of the year. In your packet, I have provided you with the kinds of issues that seem to be common to all middle schools, high schools, or elementary schools. I have also provided you with some examples of completed products from schools. So you can use this to help you. Step 6, what is important and what is not? There are some things that need to be decided that affect school unity, and there are other things that are quite simply no big deal. We're not looking to take away the autonomy of each teacher to be the best that he or she can be. Instead, we are looking for simplicity of what we expect. Here are some guidelines that will help us in deciding whether we really need a school-wide system or not. Now look at the first part of this. Your principal gets the final say. There are some times that your principal is going to step in and simply say, hey, no gum. However, other things are going to be decided by all of us. So we need to examine our systems in light of this, such as this example. Number 1, is this system designed to teach students successful behavior and correct it when needed? Or is it by nature punitive and a gotcha system? In your resource packet, you will see these kinds of guidelines. Here's another example. Is this system necessary? Is it really that important to the overall good of our school? Is it worth having every staff member consistently be alert and to reinforce it? Does it accomplish something necessary? These are important questions because we are going to simplify systems. But when we simplify them, that means we are going to be committed to enforcing them. Step 7, candid collaboration. We really need to hear the opinion of everyone. While we are not going to leave here until we have consensus, there will be a whole lot of negotiating and a whole lot of compromising. If there is one person who has a different idea, we must hear it. In fact, when I run these, my practice is to bring boxes of candy. When that one lone person goes against the group in stating an opinion, I give that person a box of candy. It took courage to go against the group. We may not agree, but it is better to hear it in here than outside after the meeting. And I've done this for so long that I have seen one person express an opinion that actually swayed the entire group. This is what creates a healthy organization. Step 8, enforcing our expectations. We're not seeking to create a rigid and cold environment. We are just seeking to use our collective power to make our school what we want it to be. While everyone is responsible for enforcing our expectations, we expect this to be done in a loving and kind way. Therefore, we need to agree on steps that ensure that no one among us will go rogue in enforcing this way. Here's an example that many schools use. We call it a 3-step protocol. And as you see, this starts giving the example of what we want our teachers to do. For instance, we decided no hats, and we want everyone in the building enforcing this, but we don't want to use this as another opportunity just to come down on our students. And so we have a 3-step way. We wiggle them over. We say things such as, "Excuse me, could I get you to remove their hat?" Now, obviously, if some kids don't comply, there's a step 2, there's a step 3. But all of this can be done in a kind and loving manner. This is included in your resource packet. Step 9, holding ourselves accountable. The school administrators are responsible for ensuring that all staff members abide by our school's way, especially given the fact that all staff members have sacrificed and given input. However, the truth is the school administrators don't see everything. So my question to you is this: how badly do you want your school to be great? For example, let's decide that your school says every teacher without excuse, without exception, will practice threshold. What that means is between class periods, when kids are in the hall, every teacher will be at his or her door greeting their kids when they come in, and every teacher will be able to see inside the classroom and see the hallway. This is essential to the safety and culture of our school. But administrators can't see everything, and people are not perfect. Now let's suppose that your friend, Joe, you have noticed that for several days, Joe is never at his door. Do you want this badly enough for your school that you would be willing to go to Joe yourself and say, "Hey Joe, what's going on, man? Can I help you? I've noticed you haven't been at your door." What if Joe just refuses to stand at his door? Do you want this badly enough that now your PLC team might go to Joe and in a non-threatening manner just say, "Joe, we're worried about you, man. How come you hadn't been at your door? What can we do to help you?" And if Joe still doesn't comply, how badly do you want this? Do you want this badly enough that you would do this? I'm not saying to snitch on Joe. Snitches get stitches. I'm saying, how about doing this? What if I went to Mrs. Smith, our principal, and if I said, "Mrs. Smith, I don't want to turn anybody in. I don't want to be like that. But would you do me a favor? Between 3rd and 4th period, would you just happen to look down the 300 hall? There's something I want you to see." Now, if this is not something you're willing to do, if we're not willing to hold ourselves accountable, then I would suggest you not bother with this process in the meantime. But do realize your school will not be great. Step 10, staff contract. When you have everyone together, this is a great opportunity to also sit down and establish, how are we going to treat each other as a staff? Because we want our school to be a fun place for kids and teachers. And so I suggest you come up with these types of things that you see right here. We treat each other with kindness and dignity. If conflicts occur, instead of spreading gossip, we go to that person and talk privately. Come up with how you want your school to be. Your school will be whatever you want it to be when you take the time to do this. Step 11, a school commitment. Once you've come up with your staff contract and once you've come up with what you want your school to be, we need to know that people are on board. So I suggest you come up with some type of school commitment that you ask people to sign.
Now, I'm enough of a rebel that I don't want to just sign everything that someone puts in front of me, but think about this. Why wouldn't someone sign? We need to know, are you committed to what this school, what all of us got together and agreed on? This is truly the only way that we're going to become a great school. And step 12, how will we teach this to our kids? We can use posters, we could have lesson plans, but quite honestly, nothing is better than creating a movie that we're going to show to kids the first week of school. Now there's two ways to do this. One way is during your staff development, we could call some kids up. We could call some questionable kids up and we could tell them, hey, you want to work for us? Help us make this movie. Show us our school's way. How do we walk in the hall? How do we respond when a teacher is correcting us? How do we use our bathroom passes? How do we use our hall passes? Things like this. Or you could have teachers make this movie. Here is an example of a movie that was actually made by teachers for a school. And as you watch this, I want you to think, look how specific they are about what our school's way is. Do you know why a movie is so important? Because not only are you showing this to our kids, you're showing this to our teachers, you're showing this to our substitute teachers, and every time we get a new kid to our building this year, we're going to have them sit down and watch this movie. So watch and enjoy.
Avondale Rams?
College down!
Show me your plan. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for everyone following me and sitting up straight.
Alright, hands are gonna go to the stop sign. Your hands to your side and your feet are on the side of the sign.
Be sure that you have a special place to keep your school's way, somewhere that is accessible by every staff member. Periodically during the year, you are going to revisit your plan. For sure, you will take a look at it each summer and revise it. But whatever you do, keep it alive and well. To go along with your plan, you want to make sure that you have a great school-wide PBIS reward system. We want to be constantly looking for our students who are carrying out our school's way. Well, time to get on. Changing your school. Get with it. Go to work.
Then you better put some systems in place, and you better do it right now. Make your school and your room an inviting place. Let the fast llama show you how. System, 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 system.